Hello traders and investors, welcome back to the Trend Trader channel. This is the continuation on the TradingView tutorial. In the previous video, I wanted to show you how some of the things work on TradingView. We started by looking at the toolbars that are available there, and then somewhere we started to create a sample list, but we didn't add anything on the sample list. So today, among other things, I'm going to show you how to add stocks into your sample list and how to sort your stocks depending on whatever criteria you want to use to sort out your stocks. So remember, I said that if you want to create a sample list, you can click there, and that there's an option to create a new list. If you want to create a new list, then you'll have the option to name your list. So we created this tutorial list. As you can see, there's nothing that is added in this tutorial list. So now we are going to start adding stocks. If you want to add stock, you simply click the plus sign there, then you can add the symbol, or you can just right click whenever on the chart, start searching the name of the symbol that you're interested in, then it will be added. So in this case, we will use the plus sign. Let's say we're interested in adding a cash build, as I was looking at the chart of cash build. So now you see here there's cash build, and then there is the plus sign here. Then you can just click that plus sign to add a cash build onto the watch list or onto your list. So you see, after we clicked on cash build, it was now added onto our list, and also now we have the option to remove it from the watch list, and also have the option to go to that symbol. Any symbol that we want to add, we can just simply add it here. Let's say, for example, we want to add this company. This is a company that is involved in car dealerships, among other things. Then we can also click there, and then we can see that the stock is also added onto our watch list. So this is the simpler way to add stuff onto our watch list. But if you want to search for something, you can also search for the stuff here on the search symbol. Remember, if we're looking for Sibanye Stillwater, if you already know the share code, you can just write the share code, then the company you're looking for will pop up. Once again, make sure that you are looking at the stock at the correct exchange, because if the company is listed in different exchanges, then you need to ensure that you're looking at the one that you're interested in. If we want to add Sasol, we can use the share code, which is Sol for JSE, or you can just type the full name there, and then you can add Sasol. Now we already have 4 stocks onto our watch list there. Then you can just click on whichever stock that you are interested in to make the decision, whatever decision that you want to make. Let's say, for example, now you want to separate these companies. You also trading or investing in ETFs. You can just right click on any name. As you can see, you can't right click on an empty space, but you can right click on top of a symbol, then you can say add a section, then the section is added there automatically. Now the section that we created, we wanted to look at a couple of stocks, then you can just write stocks and press enter. Then you can also adjust this section, so everything that is underneath this section you have now sorted out as stocks. Now if you want to add ETF, you click add section, then you can rename the section. Let's say we're looking at ETFs, then you press enter, then you can shift up the stocks above the ETFs. Then on the ETF section, there's an option to add a symbol. Let's say we are looking for the Satrix top 40 ETF. You see, if you type Satrix, there's a lot of Satrix ETFs that pop up. So in this case, we are looking for the Satrix top 40. We can click on we want to add it. Let's say maybe we're also interested in the S&P 500 feeder. Then now we have the ETFs. Now you can see the ETFs are sorted outside the stocks section. Again, if you trade things such as forex, so we're just gonna rename this section and call it FX. Remember, we can just move the stuff around so that we separate the things. Then we can add a symbol. Let's say we are interested in the South African rand US dollar exchange. You see now there are a lot of South African rand USD exchange currencies, but most of them, in theory, they're supposed to have the same exchange rate, but the one that is common is FXCM, or one there is another platform. So you can just choose whichever source you want to use. In this case, we'll just use the FXCM. Like I said, it's not different from the other. Let's just put OND as well so that you can see the difference. So you can see in terms of spread, okay, you can also just increase this tab as you wish. So if you look at the one from FXCM, it's about 16 rand 90 cent to the dollar. The other one, it's about 16 rand 89 cent to the dollar. So the difference is the spread. So if you're using a broker, let's say for example you're using hot forex is not there on the list, so you're not going to get the exact price as it is shown by your broker. Even if you use Easy Equities or GT247, the price that you see here is broker dependent. But what you want, especially if you are a long-term investor, you're not worried about the cents. If you look at cash build, the closing price, yesterday closing price, because the market is closed at the moment, it was 246 rand 74 cent. When if you are just a long-term investor, you are not worried about the cents. It doesn't matter if you get the position at 247 or you get the position at 245. So you shouldn't really spend much time worrying about the tiny cents there on the side. Well, the only time you should be worried about this is when you are trading a small stock. Let's say for example we are looking at SSK. I think that is a Stefanut stock. It's a stock that is there in the construction sector. So you see the stock is trading at 95 cent. The price is in South African cent. So if you were to buy this stock and then it cost, let's say for example your broker gives you 85 cent. So if you look at the current share price, on the other side we've got other tools here. We can use the ruler or the measurement tool. So when you're looking at the current price of 95 cent, if your broker triggers your trade, let's say at about 1 rand per share, that is a 5% spread there. Or if your broker gives you a spread at 85 cent, that's about a 10.5% spread there. So when you are trading a security that has a small share price, then you need to pay attention onto the spread, because the spread can be massive. Previously I wanted to buy Stefanut stocks when it broke above, I think it was somewhere around 59 cent or so, but the broker gave me a huge spread, because as soon as I entered the trade I was already somewhere down about 30%. So it happens depending on the broker that you choose. So you need to pay attention to that. But it is also wise to avoid trading penny stocks. I know that most beginner investors are interested in penny stocks, but liquidity is an issue. You need to understand that if you buy something that is illiquid, it will also going to be difficult to sell that particular security. All right, so now we know how to add these different symbols. Like I said, you can move them around. Let's say you want to sort them alphabetical, you can just easily move them around. So once you have the stocks here, whatever that you want to have on your watch list, remember if you are on a free account, you can only have one list, but if you pay for it, you can have multiple lists. And then when you click here on the pie chart, it quickly shows you where your stuff is located, the different sectors. For example, we have cash build is a retailer, Sibanye it's a mining stock, Sasol it's a petrochemical, and then Sibanye is a mining stock. So you can see the different sectors that are there, the process industries, retail and distribution services, non-energy. And then also it can give you based on different assets. It's about 57% in stock, 29% in ETFs, which are classified as funds, and then about 14% in forex. And then so you can also see here, so everything that you have in your watch list, you can even see the upcoming earnings. Today is the 31st of August. This company has just released its impressive results there. That is why on the chart we saw that the stock was breaking above that resistance level. So in South Africa, we don't really have those estimates as compared to the US companies. So now that you have this thing, remember you can also find the information about the earnings. If you click on calendar, we mentioned that you can see all the list of companies that are coming up with their earnings results. So then once you have your watch list, then you can use the watch list to browse through all the different companies. If you click on the watch list and details, you can actually expand the screen and then the list disappears. If you click back there, the list it comes back, then you're able to see whatever that is happening in there. And if we look on the left hand side there to look at all the options that are available there, you see whenever I'm moving on the chart, I'm moving, I have a cursor. You can change how the stuff you want it to look. You can want to look at a dot error or an eraser if you have something on the chart. Most of the time I just use the cross. The reason why I use the cross is because whenever I'm pointing, I can see the price is somewhere around 83 rand 20 cent. I can also see the date because the date is here on the x-axis and the prices is on the y-axis. So that is why I prefer to have the cursor, because I can find different kinds of information at all times. Then here, if you want to plot a trend line, there are a lot of options there. You can plot a trend line in arrow. You can also have a horizontal trend line. You can have an angled trend line. You can also plot parallel channels. All these things are available there. You can also, if you know other techniques, not necessarily techniques, if you know other patterns like a flat bottom and stuff, you can use that, or expanding channel or wedges, you can also find that information there. Well, I don't think there is a reason why you want to have a vertical trend line, because it's not something that I think it can help so much. So let's say, for example, you want to plot a trend line. Most of the time I just use a vertical, not vertical, horizontal trend line. So for example, I want to look at this. You can just click there. You can see, you can drag, you can change that with an angle, or you can keep it straight if you want to keep it straight. But for this purpose, I just want to use it straight. Then from this, there are some things that I can see from this trend line. Well, I won't be able to have a drawing tool here, but you can see here we have this resistance level here. Then the price came back, it found support. Once again, it came to find support in there. So there are a lot of things that you can use with this information. Other people, they trade a Fibonacci extension. So this is where you're going to find a Fibonacci extension or Fibonacci retracement. So you can just plot somewhere at the beginning and whatever price that you want to see. Then you have that Fibonacci extension plotted for you automatically. If a Fibonacci extension is something that you're using in your trading, just remember, focus on the tools that you are using. Don't try to get everything. So once again, you can have a brush if you want to paint onto something, or if you want to highlight. A tool that I use more often is the rectangle, because remember, the trend line is not just a fixed line. Sometimes it could be an area of value. So let's say, for example, I'm looking at the lows of this pullback, then okay, and also looking at the top of this resistance level. So I can't have one straight line to cover both the area here. So what I normally do, I will use that rectangle, go to the low that I'm interested in and the high. Then you can extend the rectangle and say, okay, so this is the area. This whole area here is my area of interest, rather than just having one fixed straight line. So this helps me, because if the price is still maybe inside this area here, then I'm not ready to pull the trigger. If you look at Motors Holding here, we can see that this is the top, the previous top there. The price now is clearly above this area of value. Then I'm going to start to pay attention on the stock. But if it was just one fixed line, you could see that whenever the price came in here, I wouldn't know what to do. But in this case, it is pretty much clear that now the price is above this resistance level, and this tells me that now I need to place a buy order for this particular stock. So you can see a whole lot of different things. Sometimes people, they use a path if they want to plot. Let's say, for example, we are using a Elliott wave analysis. There is a tool that you can use for proper Elliott wave analysis. Okay, I want it to end. So if you want to use this tool, I'm not familiar with it, you can just keep on clicking. I don't know how you finish. Okay, so I guess you just left click on the path that you want, wherever you want to finish, then you have your nice drawing there. But it is not something that I use most of the time. And then you can also use this thing to add text. Let's say, for example, you want to tell somebody something, you can just write a text there, and then you can write whatever. You can see it is added on the chart. Maybe now you want to point to whatever that you were saying. You can also, here we have an arrow tools. like an arrow marker. Then let's say, for example, you want to point to someone that this is the support level. This is something that you can use. All these things are still not good enough for you to make trade decisions, but they are good enough for you so that you can navigate the platform and know where to find some of the information there, and how to use some of the tools. And then if you are using things like Elliott wave analysis, there are tools there. As long as you understand this, I'm not an Elliott wave theorist, so I don't really understand these things, but if you are someone that is familiar with Elliott wave analysis, this is useful because you can plot all the moves there, and the lettering and the numbering is plotted automatically for you. And then another tool that I use the most is this tool. If you right click here, you can see you can look at the long position or a short position. I don't use the stuff of forecasting and stuff, or even the bar patterns, what to expect. But let's say, for example, I want to buy a Mocha's holding and then have my stop loss. Let's say I want my stop loss to be just below the low of the previous week candle. So I can see that, okay, my low is somewhere around 110 rand 55 cent. On this side, you can just pull this thing up and down, but once you are done, you need to come back and click on auto so that the scale is auto scale. Other people use the log scale, but I prefer to use the auto scale. So let's put it back to auto, and then I can zoom in this here, so that I can just say, for example, if I'm buying at the current share price of 121 with a stop loss, if, for example, I want a risk to reward of 1:2, where am I going to set up my take profit? Then you can easily come back to this option, which is the long position. When you click on it, you need to go to the chart. So I'm going to enter here around 121. Hopefully the stock is going to open at its price. Then automatically it gives you a ratio of 1:1, but this is a bad ratio because it means that you need to be right a lot of times. But 1:2, you could be wrong half of the time and still make money. So when you click at this circle there or square, you can easily move this up and down. So in this case, I'm moving it up so that I bring it closer to my stop loss of about 110. Pay attention that whenever I'm moving my stop loss, then the risk to reward ratio, it also changes. So if I'm looking for a risk to reward of 1:2, already I know that, okay, this is my stop loss. My stop loss is fixed, my entry price is fixed. Then I can play around with my take profit. So in this case, I need a take profit somewhere about 143 rand per share. So I want the share price to go up by 143 rand per share, and then you can expand or grow this. It doesn't matter. I prefer to look at it small because the price eventually will pass in there. So just because you want a risk to reward of 1:2 does not necessarily mean that the price is going to go at 143. This is just an ideal scenario that if the share price continue to push up there, then you can expect to make that money. It should be based on the structure of the market. It shouldn't be based on what you wish to happen on the market. The market does not know you. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't know where you bought the stock. So don't think that you can control the market. Some of the things are just wishful thinking. It's great when they work. It's not great when they don't work. And then you can also use arrows. Maybe you want to point to someone that this is the resistance level. Then you can use here. You can expand the list. You can see all the different things that are available there. Whichever symbol you want to use, you can plot that symbol. We've already covered the ruler. You can use the ruler. If you drag up, it shows you how much the price is going to go up, or if you drag it lower, it shows you how much the stock is going to go down. So it is useful. For example, if this Motors trading end up being a fake breakout. By being a fake breakout, I mean that the share price, it goes above the resistance level and then it pulls back below the resistance level. So if you bought here at 121 and then your stop loss is somewhere at 110, that means that you are going to lose about 8.81% on the position. But if you allow your position to go back to the previous support level, then you are carrying a 20% risk, which is just a bad way of trading. But in this case, we are not talking about trading and the good practice of ensuring that you stack your odds in your favor. I'm just showing you the tools. So these are some of the tools that we normally use. Everything else that is here, I rarely use it. Some of it I don't even know what it does. This magnet, it's not something that I use. And then if you want to delete stuff on the chart, then you can just click delete there. Then you can remove the 3 drawings if you want to remove the drawings. In this case, I want to remove the drawings, but I still want to keep my indicators in there. So this is it for today. In the next video, we're going to start looking at the different indicators. Like I said, I don't want these videos to be long, so we're just going to make sure that we try to keep these videos below 30 minutes as possible. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And then if you found value in this video, please make sure that you smash that like button. That really helps the YouTube algorithm to spread this video to as many people as possible. And if you have any questions, comment or suggestion, just feel free to leave that in the comment sections. That's it for today. I will see you in the next video.